Hello, Internet user. My name is Gary of Gary's Wares. I make wooden pipes out of exotic hardwoods. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these. And for me, this holds lead that I got for this shiny new fancy pencil that I've got. But for you, it could be whatever you want it to be. Toothpick holder, pill bottle, I don't know. It could be whatever you want. It's a little wooden container that holds stuff. And I'm going to show you how to make it. Here's my design, covered in pencil shavings. That is like one of the very few disadvantages of a pencil like this. This is my design, and it's all dependent on the maximum length of these leads, which the catalog says is 3 1/8 inch, so that's obviously a little short. And so it's going to be 3 1/8 inch short, and it's going to have also 1/8 inch to, you know, rattle around a little bit, so it's not like compressed, but not rattle around so much that it breaks into pieces. And if you're going to do this project for something else, say toothpicks or a pill bottle, for example, you want to be of a different dimensions. But these are the dimensions that I'm going to go with. So 3/4 inch lets me hold all these plus a little bit more. It's a little room left over, so that's going to work out well. And so I'm going to use inch wide blanks, the kind of blanks that you would use to make pens with. And I'm going to drill a 3/4 inch hole. Now the first problem with this is that my Forster bit itself is shorter than that. So this is going to have to be cut into two and done 2 different pieces, which I'm going to do with this piece of Zircote and this piece of zebra wood. Hey, they've got Z's in them. I just now realized that. The lid is going to be taken care of here, this piece of olive wood. I'm going to use these tenon cutters. I suppose you could make this kind of thing on a lathe, but that would mean very, very precisely getting this down to 3/4 inch so it'll stay in there, and just a little bit off and it doesn't work, and a little bit more and it doesn't go in at all, and you're probably just better off with tenon cutters. And I'm going to take a 3/8 inch tenon cutter and make the handle for the lid. So here I go. And, oh, the other thing is I made all the pieces 1/4 inch longer than they needed to be, because they're going to lose a little bit. And besides, I'd rather make it long than make it short. So here we go for real. Here are the pieces fresh from the drill press. I drilled through this one and left all the way to leaving 1/4 inch at the bottom, and drilled all the way through this piece. And then took my tenon cutters, and it was really rough around here. I guess that'll be cleaned up as sanding. I don't know. And cut that out. And so I'm going to leave the Forster bit in here when I glue this together to make sure that the insides line up, and then, you know, wipe the glue off when I'm done. And I'm going to take this to the scroll saw and clean it up a little bit. It's been glued together and it works out just fine. It's not perfect in there, but it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. This was olive wood, and it maybe, I mean, my tenon cutters are brand new, so that wasn't the problem, but this plug was a little too narrow, and it's just a little too, see how easily it just slides in and out. I got this piece of African blackwood, did the same thing, and that's better. That's exactly the right amount of friction, and that's the trick with doing this. I also made the lid, I guess you'd call the handle of the lid bigger. So now I'm going to use these circles that I drew, and I'm going to round it on my oscillating spindle sander, and I'm going to round this as well. There it is after shaping, and it came out a lot better than I thought it was going to come out. It's starting to look really good. And you see the inside, it's super thin, but it's really uniform. And the way I pulled that off was what I did when I put the lid on. Well, what I did first off is I drew a circle around the outside, and I followed that, but it wasn't exactly centered on the inside. And so when I put this in there and shaped the lid around it, if I rotated the lid, there would be a lip hanging off over here maybe, and then a lip on the container side. And so what I did is I sanded both of those lips off, and I just kept spinning it and doing that, and so I get kind of a tapered effect, which I think looks a little better. Now the tenon on top is very obviously off center, but I'm going to make that work to my advantage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it sort of a curve. I'm going to shape this with my Dremel, and I'm going to give it a bit of a curve, make it a bit like a hook, and it's going to make it a little bit easier to get off. And I'm going to do that now. There's the handle shape for the lid, pretty much like I wanted it to. You can see that it's got sort of a hook, sort of like that a little bit, which will make it easier to get off pretty much any way you look at it. So now, all that's left is final sanding and some finish, which would look like that. And there it is. And I tell you what, I really started off with some good wood. It's really nice. It's not as good as the pen my buddy made for me, but it's pretty close, and it's got some nice tension on it. It holds the lead like it's supposed to, and it goes on like that. And if you want to do this yourself, I would recommend using some stuff like this. This is food safe wax. That's what I used on the inside lip. It can act as a finish, but it also acts as like a sort of like a lubricant for tenon work, that kind of thing. And so there you are. And if you are interested in the other stuff that I make, I do this sort of thing. Wooden pipes made out of exotic hardwoods. This is tulip wood with kingwood with some cool sapwood in it. This is an 8-inch chillum with all sorts of different exotic woods in it. This is a monkey pipe, which is made for smoking on the go. It's got a little stash bowl here, and it folds up to about 3 inches, and that's the kind of stuff that I do. And so if you like it, hit me up here or wherever you're watching this. My name is Gary, and I'm out.